Welcome to all of you once again in my YouTube channel. In this video, I will teach you the second chapter of class 10th main reader Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. This is an extract from his autobiography, A Long Walk to Freedom. In this extract, the inauguration ceremony had been briefly described along with Mandela's feelings regarding the freedom movement. This chapter had given a brief information about the apartheid system in the land of South Africa. Due to the apartheid system, the black people had been ruled by the white ones for almost 3 centuries. And after a long struggle and fight, Nelson Mandela became the first black president. His party, ANC or African National Congress Party, got 252 seats out of 400, and that was the fair election, and Nelson Mandela became the first black president. The inauguration ceremony took place in Sandstone Amphitheatre, and for the first time that place was occupied by the white ones and the black ones. Before this day, this place was always used by the white people. They never allowed the black peoples to enter. So this chapter explained the pain and suffering of the black people due to the racial discrimination that was known as apartheid system. Mandela removed apartheid system from the land of South Africa, and he again re-established the brotherhood and love in the country. Due to apartheid system, the political collection was completely broken. All the other countries had broken the political connection with South Africa. But once Mandela became the first president, all the political connections were established. So on the inauguration day, the political the most influential person came and became the part of the inauguration ceremony. That was the largest gathering ever in the land of South Africa. So the inauguration ceremony took place 10th May. The day was very bright and warm. The day was a great day for all the black people because they got the hope to live once again. Before that day, they had no self-respect. Their freedom had totally been taken by the white ones. So that was a great moment for all the black people, and it was a new start for them. So on that day, Nelson Mandela was accompanied by his daughter Janani. That day was very bright and warm, and the inauguration ceremony took place in the Sandstone Amphitheatre, and there was a huge gathering of the people, and the crowd looked like rainbow because all colored people were sitting there. There was a mixture of all colored people, and for the first time it happened. So Nelson Mandela made it possible. You'll be surprised to know that Nelson Mandela spent 30 long years in jail. His autobiography described his long struggle towards the freedom of the black people. This chapter also explained what he thought about freedom in his childhood, as an adult, and later on, how he became a freedom fighter of the black people. So in the first part, Nelson Mandela had taken oath after the 2 deputy president, and after taking oath he had given a short speech to the people. He promised to the people that this day would never come back. It means the apartheid system or the system like apartheid would never come back once again in the land of South Africa. And after this day, the land would be known for the fraternity, brotherhood and equality. There would be no discrimination. Nelson Mandela also thanked all the dignitaries who came and thanked him. Nelson Mandela also told that for the last few days before the inauguration, he was surrounded by the dignitaries who came from all over the world to honor him. Then later on, Nelson Mandela had described about the inauguration ceremony that on the top of the amphitheater, the jets, helicopter, and the troops flew over with perfect formation. They tried to show the military's perfection, but not only that, they tried to show their loyalty towards the newly made government. After some time, the Impala jets flew, and these jets drew the newly made government's flag. And Mandela was also respected by the officers. Suddenly, Mandela remembered that few years ago these officers had not respected him, not saluted him, but they arrested him. On that day, Nelson Mandela became a little bit emotional, because that day made him remember about all the freedom fighters who had sacrificed their lives for the cause, for the freedom of the black people. He was very much sad, as he could not thank them for their tribute, as they had passed away. Mandela also tried to describe the positive impact of the torture which was done by the white people. Mandela thought that due to these tortures, due to this brutal punishment, such great personalities came out from the land of South Africa. Mandela also thought that his country was full of gems, but according to him, the best gem was his people. It means he had given utmost importance to his people, and that is the quality of a best leader. A best leader always thinks about his people. He tries to help them in their lifestyles. He tries to give them a better life. Mandela had done. Later on, Mandela discussed about his knowledge about freedom. In his childhood, freedom meant different to him. He thought that freedom meant to run in front of his mother's hut, to roast mealies, to take bath in the clear stream. Later on, when he grew up, the meaning of the freedom got changed. He thought freedom means to stay outside, to read whatever he liked. But later on, he understood that actually these were not the freedom. He understood that the freedom of the black people, freedom of his people had already been taken. And the moment he understood that the freedom had been taken from him, he became a monk. His life completely changed. He became a monk. He was separated from all his family members. And that made him a very courageous one. That made him courageous, that made him strong. Earlier, he was not much courageous, but once he decided to gain freedom for his people, he got strength, he got power. And he also discussed in that chapter that in the land of South Africa, a man was unable to fulfill his obligation towards the family and towards the country. Especially the black people were never allowed to fulfill any of these obligations. He could not fulfill his obligation as a family person or as a citizen. So Nelson Mandela also discussed that later on, when he understood that his freedom had been taken, he started fighting, and he had given some important messages to us, that fear does not mean the lack of actually every man is afraid. Fear is present within us. We have to overcome it. Once we overcome the fear, we will also be courageous. And Mandela also understood that every man, love is pre-installed in every man's heart. It means it is natural. Love is natural, and hatred is artificial. We are actually taught to hate, but not taught to love. So Mandela also thought that the persons who tortured somebody else was also a prisoner of hatred, and he must be freed. So in this overall chapter, Mandela had given a brief description about his struggle towards the freedom of the black people, how he had sacrificed his comforts and pleasures, and he had given them a better life. So his life was a great example of a good leader and a great leader. So thank you. I hope you will understand, and later on I will try to provide you some important questions. Thank you.